guys, welcome back to my channel. We are going to finish off the recap of season 1 of Beauty in Black, the Tyler Perry series that is on Netflix. So we're picking up at episode 13. Kimmy has escaped the car that she was in with Officer Traxon. Remember, he had picked her up out of the hotel room, kidnapped her. Now he's taking her to see Jules, but she managed to grab the steering wheel, cause an accident, get out the car. She got out the car. There's a lady in the highway who got out of her car to check on the accident that she just witnessed. So while the lady is walking up to the accident, Kimmy runs to that lady's vehicle and steals her vehicle. That vehicle has an old man inside who is the father to the lady who stopped to check out the accident. But Kimmy steals that car, and now Kimmy is on her way. Mallory calls Jules and is asking about Roy. No one knows that Roy has been pushed out the window. Remember, Kimmy went to the hotel, met up with him, they got into a fight. He's been pushed out the window. But nobody in the family knows. Like, no one's spoken to him, no one's heard from him, and no one realizes. So Mallory is talking to Jules, trying to figure out where he is. Now, Jules knew that Roy was going to the hotel, so Jules gives Mallory the location that he knew of, Roy last being at. So now Mallory is on her way to the hotel where Roy has been pushed out of the window. Back at the club, Charles arrives. Angel is there at the club at this time, and he spots Sylvie. So he's looking he's looking towards the back, and there's a door back there, and he sees Felicia dragging Sylvie past that door. Mallory arrives at the hotel, and she has one of Jules's guys with her. I'm not sure which one it was, but she has someone with her, and they discover Roy has been, what they think is that he fell out the window. They think he's jumped out the window, but in fact he was pushed out the window by Kimmy. Mallory, okay, so now they're trying to figure out what to do. So Mallory gets in her car. She calls Jules and tells Jules what happens. While she's on the phone telling Jules what happens, she's now outside of her car. She's standing in front of the hotel. Fans see her. Remember, she's a big businesswoman. She has a hair care line. They run the company. She's married into the Bellary family. So she's a known figure in the streets. So a couple of fans see her, and they start taking pictures of her while she's standing in the street talking to Jules about Roy falling out the window. Okay. Kimmy is now at the hospital, and she confronts Horace, because remember, Horace went to the hospital to question Rain, and in the midst of that, Rain is in surgery, so I guess Horace is sitting in her room. Kimmy burst into the room thinking, she was going to talk to Rain, but Horace is there, so now she confronts Horace. And remember, Kimmy thinks Horace knows about the club and knows what's going on. She doesn't in her heart believe that he has nothing to do with this. So she starts to plead with him listen, I'm still looking for my sister. Somebody got to do something. Y'all got to get me my sister back. So this is the conversation she's having with him. Horace tells Kimmy to go back to the club. And she's explaining to him, no, I can't do that. I caught a couple bodies today. They know about it. They're looking for me to come down there. So, that's not the first place I'm thinking about being. During that conversation as well, she tells Horace that she pushed Roy out the window at the hotel. Now, Horace doesn't believe her. So he's asking her questions. He's like, what hotel? She names the hotel. Horace is like, there's no way you pushed him out of that hotel window because we own that hotel. And if my son was pushed out of a window there, somebody would be calling me to let me know that. Cool. Right after he says that, a doctor knocks on the door to the hospital room that they're sitting in. And the doctor pops his head in and he says, "Hi, Mr. Bellary. Someone told me that you were here. I have some news." And the news is that Roy is being admitted to the hospital because he was in an accident. So now Horace is looking at Miss Kimmy like, I know you really didn't do that. And so he says to the doctor, "Well, what type of an accident?" And he says it looks like he fell out of a window. So Horace now knows wholeheartedly that everything Kimmy told him is the truth about what she did to him. So they're bringing they're admitting Roy into the hospital. So Horace leaves the room that he's in with Kimmy and he goes to visit with Roy in his hospital. During that conversation, he basically verbally attacks Roy while Roy is in the hospital bed, okay? And so they're going back and forth, they're arguing back and forth. Eventually, Horace picks up his cane and he hits Roy with the cane. And so Roy grabbed the cane and was like pulling the cane, made Horace fall to the floor. Mallory have to pick Horace up, break up the tussle and stand there trying not to laugh. So these two was in the hospital room tussling with each other. Okay, back in the other room, Rain is now out of surgery for her blood clot. So remember, Horace was trying to get information from her, and in the midst of that, he poked her in the body, in the butt where she had her enhancements done, and he caused, I guess, her blood clot to burst or something like that. So they rushed her into surgery, and now she's out of surgery. Angel, back at the club, he finds Sylvie. So remember, while he was on stage dancing, he looked towards the back door and he saw the little girl. So once he got off stage, he ran back to the back and he found her again. And so he has her like in his possession, and he's trying to call Kimmy to tell her, "Hey, I've got hands on Sylvie, call me, I'm trying to get in contact with you so we can figure out how to get her out of here." But Kimmy's phone is dead. So he's calling and he's leaving messages. Kimmy has no idea that Angel has his hands on her sister at the club. Mallory talks to Roy in the hospital room, and then they get into a tussle. So it's a doctor in the room while they're going through what they're going through, and she's just standing there because she's baffled. She can't say anything. He's calling Mallory all kind of B words. She's calling him all kind of drunks, telling the doctor that he did all kind of drugs and he needs to be evaluated and he probably needs to go to rehab after he leaves here. So that's what's going on in the hospital room where Roy and Mallory are. Horace comes back to Rain's room. So now he sees that Rain is back in her room, but he realizes that Kimmy is gone. So Kimmy has left. Horace is still at the hospital. Alex, now we're back to the club. Alex, one of the guys who works for Jules, confronts Angel because now they don't know where Sylvie is. Mind you, Andrew has hid her in a closet until he can reach Kimmy to figure out what to do with her. But Angel don't like Alex don't like the fact that, Angel has stepped in. So Alex beats him up a little bit, punches him around. And that's how that episode ends, with Alex roughing Angel up at the club. So now we're at episode 14. Again, Alex is mad because Angel has found Sylvie and hid her from them so they don't know where she is. Back to the hospital, Roy is being Roy, bothering the doctor. Mallory has left the room. So they had their little tussle. Mallory left. She said she's going home for the night, left the doctor in charge of Roy. So Roy is in pain. Remember, he got pushed out the window. He landed flat on his back. So he's in a lot of pain. What we discover in this scene is that the doctors have already gave him like an obscene amount of pain medicine, but he's saying that he's still hurt and he's asking for more. And his Roy kind of way. Mallory heads to the strip club now. She kept Roy's phone when she left the hospital. And on his phone, a text came through from Kimmy. And so she sees that text, and I guess the text says, I'm at the club. I'm heading to the club. So Mallory figure, all right, well, if you heading to the club and I'm looking for you, now I'm coming to the club. She knows that Charles is already there. So she calls Charles like, hey, are you still down at the club? And he's like, yep. She says, stay there. I'm on my way. So now she's heading to the club to meet up with Charles. Horace calls Vernie, the guy attorney, and tells him to have a judge meet him tomorrow morning, as well as the whole legal team. So he wants a judge to be there, he wants a notary public to be there, he wants a videographer to be there. He wants basically his whole legal team with a judge to meet him tomorrow morning to his house. So Vernie says, all right, I'll gather everyone and, I'll have them to where you want them to be. Roy, back at the hospital, is now talking to Jules. And he wants revenge. He wants revenge on Kimmy because Kimmy pushed him out the window. So, they're talking about, Roy is talking to Jules about how he wants to go about getting this revenge on Kimmy. But Jules says to him, let's make this easy on for us. Let's give her to Mallory. Because Mallory have been trying to figure out who Roy was sleeping with. This is the perfect opportunity to give Kimmy now to Mallory. This is what Jules is saying. So that's what he wants to do. He would rather let Mallory take care of Kimmy instead of letting Roy do it. Norman. Now this seems crazy. It was crazy to me. Norman is sitting outside of a warehouse and he's in his car. He's with a young boy. Inside of the warehouse is like open windows, and standing at one of the open windows are two other young boys, and they're having a conversation. And in that conversation is basically them talking about, what Olivia had done to Horace, how she planted out the dudes that she used, how it was crazy because all of those dudes got killed, and that's what's going around in the street. The boys ran up in there and got killed. So we know that they're talking about the boys that Olivia sent into Horace's place that night to attempt to rob. So now Norman knows that it was Olivia who had set Horace up that evening. Okay? Back at the hospital, the cop guy that works for Jules, Traxon, calls Jules and lets him know, hey, we don't have eyes on his sister anymore. He explains that Angel was there in the club and Angel must have done something with the sister to where they can't find her. So now Jules is pissed. Rain wakes up. Remember, she fell asleep from all the sedation she was under after the surgery. Horace is still there in the room with her. And so Horace asks Rain, hey, where did Kimmy go? And Rain says, I think that she went to the club to get her sister. That's all that Rain said. So now Rain calls Kimmy. Remember, Rain gave Kimmy a phone. So from the hospital phone, Rain calls Kimmy. Kimmy is now outside of the club. She's sitting outside of the club trying to figure out what to do, how to get in. So she's in a car sitting outside of the club talking to Rain on the phone. And she wants Kimmy to know, listen, I told Horace that you were down there to the club. He might be on his way down there to help you. Mallory has arrived to the club. She greets Charles. They sit down for a while. She looks around. She peeps the scenery. She's disgusted by it. She sees the girl Felicia, and she goes over and she introduces herself to Felicia, and they start to chat. Okay. Basically, she wants to ask, little Miss Felicia, where's Kimmy? What do you know about Kimmy? How can I find her? So that's the conversation she's having. Now, Horace arrives to the club. So she explains to him, my sister is inside the club. Angel is inside the club. I got to figure out how to get in there and get her out. All right, so now we're back inside the club. Angel is on stage. He's dancing. Okay. When he gets off the stage, he makes it to the locker room, and he tries to call Kimmy again. Kimmy's phone is dead. So he's making all of these calls to Kimmy's phone, but Kimmy is not getting. Horace now. Horace goes into the backyard. Okay, so in the club there's like a back parking lot, and in the back parking lot, that's basically where everything goes down. You have to pay a fee to get into the back parking lot, and then the lot is always locked and closed off. And like I said, you could do anything. So usually the guys pull in and they tell security, hey, I want this type of girl or this type of guy, and those type of girls or guys are brought out into the yard for the customers. So what Horace does is Horace tells the security, hey, I want something young and fresh, a female. So they say, okay, cool. They go inside the club, says a gentleman out here wants something hot and fresh. The first person they think of is little Miss Kimmy. So now they're trying to, they think of Kimmy's little sister, they think of Sylvie, the 16-year-old girl who's at the club. So now the guys are trying to find her again, because remember, Angel had her locked up in a closet. So now they're back there trying to find her so that they can take her outside to the customer. Kimmy, who has Rain's phone, calls Angel again. So Angel picks up, and now they're communicating, and he tells her, listen, I had eyes on your sister's shoes. I put her in a closet. Somebody needs to get in here and get her. What he does not know is that somebody has already gotten to her and is taking her outside to the car. Okay? Norman is now at the Rinky Dink Hotel where Rain, Angel, and Kimmy used to stay. Because he's there because he knows that the crackhead fat guy is there, that they pinned the murder of his wife on. So he's going to speak to him face to face. So he gets in a room and he's talking to the guy, and he's like, tell me the story. Tell me what happened. Because in his mind, he really doesn't believe that this kid did, this to his wife. So the kid tells him the story. I guess the kid and Jules rehearsed this story thoroughly over and over, because the kid tells him the story and he's satisfied with the story. Now he does pull out his torture kit and kill the boy, but he wholeheartedly believes now that this boy is responsible for the murder of his wife. Okay? Back at the club, Calvin takes Charles and Mallory home. Okay. So we're inside the club again. So Mallory just finished talking to Felicia, and she's satisfied that Felicia will give her the information she wants on Kimmy. She gave Felicia a couple of dollars. This is how their bond started. Listen, I'm gonna pay you. You're gonna give me information. This is what's going on. Felicia did in fact show Mallory a picture of Kimmy during that transaction. So now Mallory knows what Kimmy looks like. But Calvin is there, so Calvin takes Charles and Mallory. Angel is in the hallway, so he's still in the hallways looking for the sister. The cop, Traxon and Felicia, have already took the sister out to the back parking lot and gave her to Horace. So thank God, the little girl is now in Horace's possession, basically. So Horace calls Kimmy and lets her know, listen, I have your sister. She's in the truck with me. Do what you gotta do. Let's get her out of here. So Kimmy causes a distraction. What she does is the car that she's in, because remember the back parking lot is like gated and the gate is locked. So what she does, Miss Kimmy, she gets, she's in the car, she takes the car, she rams it full speed and crashes into the gate. So when she crashes into the gate, Horace then drives out of the parking lot with the young lady in the car. The reason they did it like that, the reason why Horace just couldn't leave himself is because they keep it so that you can't leave while you have customers in your car. So that's why Kimmy did what she did to cause the distraction so that Horace could drive out with the little girl. So that worked beautifully. She caused the distraction. She's inside the parking lot, and Horace has made his way outside the parking lot. And that's how that episode ends. So we're going to jump right into episode 15. Okay, so now we go back to the club. Angel, okay, so remember, Angel was in the hallways looking for the young lady, but Alex found him, and Alex locked him into a, construction room. A room that was under construction is where they put Angel. So Angel, so I don't know, he kicked the door down or he rammed his body into the door, but he somehow made it out of that room. And he realizes the club has been shut down. So from the distraction that Kimmy created outside, it caused big pandemonium inside the club, so they cleared the club out. Now Kimmy is inside the club with Jules, and he's beating her up. And you know, he's not beating her up. He's dragging her around, and he drags her to the stage, and he just threw her on the stage. Felicia comes out, and he told Felicia to physically, like, beat her up, put your hands on her. So that's what happens. So Angel calls Rain, and he lets Rain know, oh my God, they got Kimmy, and they're basically attacking Kimmy. I can see it happening right now. They have Kimmy inside the club. So Rain calls Horace, and it says, Horace, they have Kimmy. Kimmy is inside the club, and Jules has her, and now they're attacking her. She's not going to be able to get out. Now he's already on the highway with the little girl. I guess he was going to take her back to his house. He has to U-turn and go back. Now they have Andrew out in where the main stage area is, and him and Kimmy are now together. They have them like sitting together. Horace shows back up to the club and basically rescues both Angel and Kimmy. So Horace shows back up to the club, and he basically stops the commotion while it's happening. And he asks Kimmy, he says, are you hurt? And she says, a little bit. He says, go out to the car. Sylvia's in the car. Go get in the car with her. Angel, you go too. So they are exiting the club. But before they exit the club, Kimmy knocks the hell out of Felicia, because Felicia had been beating her up, orders and Jules. Man, Kimmy punched that girl so hard in the face and then walks out. Jules tries to blame everything on Roy basically messing with Kimmy. So Horace is there, and Horace is confronting Jules like, what the hell is going on? And so Jules basically blames it, well, he tries to blame it all on Roy. All of this is happening because of Roy. Roy was messing with the girl Kimmy, and things got out of hand, and all of this escalated into that. This is all Roy's fault. Okay, so now finally Kimmy is reunited with the sister in Horace's car. The sister then passes out. So Kimmy is like in a state of shock, like, oh my God, what's wrong? So Kimmy takes the sister out of Horace's truck, puts her into the little car that she was driving, and drives off with her. Leaves Angel behind. Told Angel, you can stay and wait for Horace, because I got to take my sister to the hospital, because clearly she's drugged up, she's sickly, and I got to go, make sure she's okay. Jules is still back inside talking to Horace. But Horace, okay, so now Horace has sat down on the stage, right? And he's sitting there like this with his head down. I thought maybe he passed away in that instant, but it was like he had fell asleep. I don't know. I guess the illness is now coming down on him bad, because he sat there and he's just got his head down like he's sleeping. He wakes back up and he stands up, and you can see that his pants are wet. So Horace pissed himself in the mix of all the commotion. Angel, who is waiting for him outside, because remember Kimmy left, but Angel is there waiting for him outside. So when Horace exits the club, Angel is right there. So Angel helps him get into the truck, and then they also drive to the hospital. So now Kimmy is inside the little car with her sister, and the sister is like, you know how you turn your head back like this, you can see the back seat through your peripheral vision. So the sister realizes this old man in the back seat of the car. Say, Kimmy, the old man's back there, and he's looking at me, he's scaring me. And she's like erratic, she's like hysterical, saying it like, Kimmy, oh my God, she's screaming, it's a man back here in the car, he's looking at me, he's scaring me. Kimmy is bugging out, like, you need to sit back, you probably hallucinating off the drugs you on, sit back, relax, I'm taking you to the hospital now, get you checked out, relax. For some reason, Kimmy does look back though, and she sees the old man in the vehicle. Okay, they make it to the hospital. She rushes her sister in for treatment. Leaves the old man in the backseat still of this car. They've parked it in the parking lot of the hospital. They're upstairs trying to get the treatment that they need for the little sister. Norman now, he gets a call from Jules. And Norman tells Jules, listen, I killed Debo, so I know you lied to me about you doing it. I just did it. Jules then tells Norman that Horace was at the club. And that Horace has taken Kimmy and Angel. So Horace and Jules together figure that Judge Harold from earlier has told, Horace the truth about everything that's going on. Because they can't figure out or understand why and how Horace knows Angel and now how Horace knows Kimmy. So the only person they could think that told is the judge, Judge Harold. Because remember, Judge Harold works with Norman and Jules doing all of this shady stuff. Okay, so Angel arrives at the hospital with Horace. Now remember, this hospital, there's a certain wing of the hospital that's dedicated to the Bellary family because the Bellary family have given so much money. So they take Horace up through the back way and, he's admitted right away. Angel goes to see Rain, who is asleep. She wakes up eventually and he tells her that Kimmy has a sister. And he tells her how they got out the club, that Horace came in and everything like that. Rain asks why Angel is there in the room. She's like, all right, so that's great, y'all got free and everything, but why are you here? And so he lets her know, I don't have nowhere else to go. So she lets him know, then you're welcome to stay here. The chairs recline, you could go to sleep, whatever it is you need to do. He also tells her in that moment that Horace is really sick, and Horace was also admitted to the hospital. So now Rain knows that Horace is there as a patient to the hospital. Vernell. So Vernie goes to see Charles and finds him passed out on the floor drunk from last night. You would think that Charles learned a lesson about going out getting drunk to the club, right? But no, he didn't. He's home, he's drunk. Vernie finds him. Lectures him like he always does, tells him, Charles, you need to tighten up because this is exactly what your father is looking for you to do so that you can be cut out. He's not hearing any of it. He is still being himself. So Vernie tells him, now your father has lawyers and a judge and a notary and a videographer and all of these people coming to meet him to his house this morning. You need to tighten up because he's definitely up to something. Okay? Vernie then calls Mallory and tells her the same thing. Hey, Horace has set up this meeting with the legal team. I want you to, I'm giving you the heads up. This is what's going on. He's definitely up to something. Cool. Jules shows up to Mallory and Royce's house, lets them know what happened at the club last night, lets them know that Horace has Kimmy, and this is when Mallory puts two and two together, oh, so Jules, you the pimp, huh? You out here pimping people. It finally clicks to her in that moment. Now, Vernie shows up to Mallory's house as well, and is telling them in person with Jules there, listen, we all have to get to the house by 11 a.m. because Horace has set up this big meeting with the whole legal team. Okay, back at the hospital, Kimmy and Angel and Rain are all reunited, and now they're talking. So they're talking about their future plans. They didn't just go through hell on earth for these last couple of days. So they're all reunited and they're sitting in the hospital room. They're just all catching up with each other. On the news, in the background in the room, the news is playing. So on the news, a breaking news scene comes in, and it's showing that the gentleman in the car is someone important. The car has been reported stolen by the daughter, and her father was sick in the backseat. So now not only is the person who stole his car facing charges of the robbery, they might be facing charges of kidnap because they stole a car while this old sick man was in it. Okay, Angel looks at the car and he realizes it's the car that Kimmy took. So he leaves the room and he goes, into the parking lot to see if he can find the car. And that's how that episode ends. And so we will jump right into 16 now. In episode 16, it starts off, Kimmy is going to the private hospital room to go and speak with Horace because Rain told Kimmy that Horace was there. So she's like, yo, you need to go in there. You need to talk to him. You need to, find out what it is that he's trying to do. Maybe he can help us, get out of here when I'm ready to leave the hospital because we not going back to the club. We can't do that. But maybe Horace will help us. So go in his room and see him and talk to him. So she does. And in this room, Horace tells Kimmy, like, I want to marry you. I've been doing my homework on you. I've been doing my research on you. I like the type of person you are. I want to marry you. I hate my sons. I hate their mother, my brother, and everybody else. I don't want them to inherit any of my money, any of my assets. So I want to marry you so that you'll be in control of everything. Also, I want you to be their boss, run the company for me as well. Okay? Horace also tells Kimmy that Jules has a wife and a house in the suburbs and a kid. He says it just like that. Jules has a wife, a house in the suburbs, and a kid. Emphasis on a kid. All right. And he also lets her know, I'm going to teach you everything that I want you to know. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about how to handle, Roy, Mallory, Charles, and everybody, and also how to go about running the business and handle the day-to-day at the business. Cool. Angel confronts Kimmy in the hospital lobby, and he gives her a coat and a hat, and he tells her, put this coat and this hat on because basically you're wanted for stealing that car. It's all over the news. So put this on as a disguise so that, if anybody does put two and two together that you were the person that stole the car, they won't easily recognize you right away. Kimmy now in the room with her sister finds out that they want to move the sister. Okay, so when Kimmy was bringing the sister in to be checked out, she lied on the paperwork. So because she lied on the paperwork, they want to kick the sister out of the hospital. So Kimmy looks the nurse right in her eyes and she says, listen, my last name is Valerie. And you can go and speak to my fiance, who is Horace, and he will have all of this situated. Because what's not going to happen is you moving her. You're not going to move her. This is my family's hospital, and my sister's going to stay here, and she's going to have the best care that she can have. I don't care about I lied on the paperwork. Go talk to Horace, get this figured out. And so the nurse lady goes and she speaks with Horace. So the sister reveals, that Lottie and Delinda told her everything about Kimmy, because remember, Kimmy had her little sister thinking that she was a nurse in Chicago and that she was doing really good for herself, and their plan was that when Sylvie turned 18, Kimmy would send for her and then the little girl would come and they would live together. So Delinda and Body crushed that little girl's spirits when they told her, well, your sister's really a stripper and a prostitute basically, and she works out of this strip club, and that's where we're taking you. So now Sylvie has this nasty attitude towards her sister, like, oh, you lied to me, and how could you do that? I thought you were a nurse and I thought you were doing good for yourself, and it turns out you was only a stripper. So see, at that moment I would have had to bust little Sylvie right in the face, because number one, you have no idea what all I went through to even get your little ass back out of captivity, and now you're talking to me crazy. I would have bopped her, but that's here nor there. Angel now is in the parking lot of the hospital. Remember, he's down there. He's looking for the vehicle that Kimmy stole, and he does locate it, but the scene jumps. So now Olivia. So we're with Olivia. So remember, in the hospital they own like a certain wing of the hospital. So Olivia is there and she's giving a tour to her church friends of the hospital grounds. While she's giving the tour to her church friends, the lady lawyer shows up who has the case against the company for the hair care products giving everybody cancer, she shows up and basically tries to serve Olivia with paperwork. You've been served. Olivia says, hold on a minute, sweetheart. She dismisses the tour group, tells them, oh, go to the other side of the building, wait for me there, we'll reconvene. Soon as they exit the hallway, she puts her hands all over the lady lawyer. She puts her hands on a lady lawyer to the point where she makes the lady lawyer hit her back. And the lady lawyer hitting her back is what she wanted, because she takes that part, like they have cameras. So she takes that part of the lady lawyer smacking her back and makes a video of it. Threatens to upload it. And she does this all in real time while the lady is in her face. Does this in 2 seconds. Makes this video and shows it to the lady like, now, if you think I'm coming to court, you think you served me, but I'm not showing up. And you're not going to do nothing to me. You can do whatever you want to do with the family, but you're not going to do nothing to me, or I'm going to release this video of you putting your hands on a little elderly lady. Clears the lady lawyer, makes her get up out her face. Okay? Okay, then Olivia then runs into a doctor that's coming down the hallway, and she speaks with him. What she doesn't know is that this doctor just came out the room that Horace was in. They have no idea that Horace is in this hospital. So she sees that the doctor came out of a room, and she leans over the doctor's shoulder to look inside the room, and she notices that it's Horace in there. So Olivia attempts to go into the room that Horace is in, and the doctor blocks her, like, no, you can't go in there, because he ordered me to not have anyone in there. So in the midst of Olivia trying to get into the room and the doctor blocking her, Kimmy and her sister come, and they walk right into the room. And Olivia is baffled, like, well, why are they able to go in the room? Who are they? Okay? Now, in the room, inside the room with Horace, Kimmy says yes to his proposal. He just proposed to her, and she was iffy about it. So in that moment, she says yes. The little sister is in there with her, right? And the little sister now wants to ask Horace all of these questions. Oh, so you so inquisitive. You use a little bit of inquiry. Like, she's getting on my nerves. So she's in there, and she's basically questioning Horace, okay? Just annoying. Back at the main house, now remember, Vernie, the lawyer, had been told to gather the legal team and have them at the house at 11. Because, you know, that's where Horace was expected to be. Horace is in the hospital. So they're all convened at the main house, not knowing that Horace is in the hospital. Mallory shows up to the main house with this fresh set of lemons, because this is her routine. Every morning she picks lemons from the garden to take to Horace's house. So she shows up with this case of lemons and talks to Vernie. Horace, at that moment, while Mallory is talking to Vernie, Horace calls Vernie and says, hey, I'm at the hospital. Gather the legal team, bring everybody here. Change of plans. We're going to do whatever we were going to do at the house. We're going to now do it here at the hospital. So bring everybody here. All right. Now, back at the hospital, Olivia is now on the other side, reconvened with her church group. And they're singing hymns. So they're singing church choir songs in the hallway of the lobby. Olivia gets on her phone, she calls Norman. And basically she's telling Norman, I think you need to come to the hospital because your brother is here. I just saw him in a room, and they are blocking me access to the room, so I can't get in. Maybe you need to come down here and you can get in the room. We need to figure out why he's here in the hospital. So Norman says, okay, I'm on my way. Charles now comes to visit with Roy at his house. And they're talking there in the kitchen area, and they are talking. Charles gets a call from Olivia. Now, Olivia is calling everybody, like, come on down to the hospital. So Olivia calls and tells them, hey, I need to come down to the hospital. Horace is here. He's admitted to a room. I can't get in. I don't know what's going on. Come down here. Okay, no problem. Then Olivia calls Mallory. Tells Mallory the same thing. So now Kimmy is back in Rain's room. And she tells Rain that Horace wants to marry her. So, you know, Rain, my favorite chicken head. She loves the idea. But Kimmy is spectacles. You know, she's skeptical, of course. She doesn't really trust the idea. She doesn't really trust Horace as of yet, but it's just like she's just going through the emotions. Rain has the phone that she gave to Kimmy, and they decide to look up Horace. Like, they want to know what's his net worth. They want to know, what the deal is. So they look him up, and the net worth that they see is absolutely satisfying to Rain. And it absolutely made Kimmy feel satisfied too. So they in there being chicken heads, laughing hyped up because they see how much money the man is worth. Okay, so now we're back in the hospital lobby. Everybody is there now. The family is there, and the legal team is there. The legal team is escorted up to the room with Horace. The family is downstairs in the lobby. Kimmy, Rain, Sylvia enter the room that Horace is in. And they are introduced to the whole legal team because everybody is there as far as the legal team inside this room. Vernie, the lawyer, is also in the room with them. They are proceeding to marry Kimmy and Horace. Okay? So then Vernell leaves the room and he goes and he tells the family this is what's happening. Horace is marrying that little girl right now up in the room. In the parking lot of the hospital, Angel has located the car, but then Angel gets arrested, stealing the car that had the old man in it. Back inside the hospital, the family bum rush. Like they bum rush the lobby, run upstairs, run past the security, and they bust into the room where everything is taking place. And Horace says to them, meet my new wife, meet your new stepmother, meet your new boys. And it's like the cameraman knew to zoom in on everybody's face because Olivia is gagged, Charles is gagged, Roy might have finally sobered up. He is gagged. Okay? Norman gagged. Everybody. Oh, everybody is just standing there. Mallory, everybody's just standing there. So that's how it ends. So season 1 goes out with a complete bang. This man has now married Kimmy, and she will be the boss of these bastards going into season 2. That is all. Thank you guys so much for watching.